Because the biggest question, Jimmy, is in terms of what the impact of AI is on jobs, is to impress on people that we have agency on this question. It's not just something that we sit back and say, when do you think AI comes and kind of what happens as a result? No, we are participants in this. We can shape this. And so the announcements this week have been about shaping it in the direction of human progress. And so we had committed to train 7.5 million people by 2030 in AI skills. We are well on course to do that. In fact, we're going to breach that target and be even more ambitious. So we're going to go punch bigger in that context as well. We've got an AI hub. I encourage everyone. We'll share the link with you. We're encouraging everyone to go online. You can get essential courses so that you can upskill yourself in this context as well. And we're setting up local programs, Tech Local. We're putting 27 million into it so that kids with placements in terms of work experience, graduate jobs, local jobs across the country, the opportunity of AI becomes way more spread than the opportunity of technology was in the last 2 decades, where I felt it was too concentrated in just London or Silicon Valley. This time we want to spread it right across the country.
And how do you think about reaching the people that need this most, right? Yes, we'll put a link in the show notes to it and so on, but I dare say the people that are already watching this show are pretty engaged in this stuff, right? Like, how do you think about reaching, all across the country in places that, might not have access to this as much?
I think this is a really critical thing. So, the first thing I will say, by the way, is online distribution has meant that you will be surprised at which parts of the country people might be engaged with you on. And so there are kids who came to me from my constituency in Barry Island and in South Wales who said they had seen venture podcasts online and as a result wanted to build a career in tech and starting a company. The context of imagination for kids in this country, right across the country, has really shifted because they can now engage with content right across the world. And so Jimmy's jobs, I'm sure, is going to be played in South Wales, and there'll be kids who will be looking at AI Skills Hub as well. But broadly speaking, one of the things that we're really keen on doing is making sure, exactly as you say, that we're finding other ways of reaching people who we really want to be a fundamental part of the economic opportunity here. There are 2 things that are really on my mind here.
Are you a fan of Jimmy's Jobs of the Future? Hi, I'm Sonny, one of the producers behind the show. And we don't just make this podcast, we produce some of the best business content out there, working with global brands and founders. Over the past year, we've flown around the world and demand keeps growing. And with 4 prime ministers trusting us with their appearances on this show, you're in safe hands. So, if you're already in the market for a podcast or standout business content, why not start with us? Drop me a line at sunny@boxlight.io, try our podcast calculator, or book a meeting at boxlight.io. That's boxlight.io. Now, back to Jimmy.
One, we've got a series of AI ambassadors that we've engaged, Tom Blomfield from Monzo and GoCardless fame being one. And my big ask of them is to work with us to reach schools and workplaces right across the country, to be able to take this message out and say, we think kids growing up in every part of the UK, Scotland, Northern Ireland, England, Wales, are all able to now make the most of the opportunity. So we're going to get the most engaging people who've done it, to go and say that you can also do it regardless of where you're growing up. And then the second part is that we want to make sure that the power of public services, which are spread across the country, are being made the most of in spreading the message. And so one of the big things that we've announced recently is that we're going to take some big moves in education in particular to make sure that teachers are supported with AI, that learning can be personalized so that kids and teachers right across the country can see the opportunity of AI directly and as a result really feel like they can drive that progress regardless of where they grow up.
What have you used personally to sort of train yourself on AI as the AI minister?
I have a couple of different things. So one, the usual chatbots. I've recently switched. I used to mostly use ChatGPT and Claude. I've now actually felt that Gemini is probably my most frequently used chatbot. I just feel the range is great. The deep thinking research stuff is really helpful. I have done some very minor coding on Cursor, and so I find being able to go on a chatbot like Gemini increasingly or Claude Code and then be able to sort of use Cursor has been interesting, although I've mostly worked with others in doing that as well. And then the third thing is I use a couple of the tools, Opus Clip and Veed in particular, for editing and video and kind of some creative content work from time to time as well. I'm kind of pretty amateur at it. So your producers are going to be telling me how bad a job I do compared to their remarkable skill. But those are three things that I feel are most useful.
We will get you some clips for it. But what do you think? Because it's funny, sometimes friends ask me when they're moving jobs or whatever, like I've got a bit of time, and I just say to them, well, look, get a pro account of pretty much any one of them and just play with it and tell it what you're interested in, etc. But what do you think will be the foundational skills? Because obviously it still matters what people are putting in at that stage, right? So what are the foundational skills that you think are going to matter in the future?
One of the things that I feel, even just for myself when I'm using it, is that the vigilance I have to have about the quality of information has to be way higher than when I'm engaging with someone in person. Because when you're engaging with someone in person, you have some proxies for where you're at, right? If it's someone if you're engaging with a kid and you're asking him about something specific, you know that there might be creativity, but you don't want to believe all the facts that might come out of it. If you're engaging with an expert with some kind of proxies and a sense of reputation for quality, you've got to be vigilant still, but you know where you stand. Whereas with the AI chatbots, I feel like the fundamental thing is how you retain